All right, guys. So for our first lesson here, I want to go into a little bit of how we're going to do algebra and conversions. So this will be useful for you guys for that first homework. And also, it's just a good basis overall for the class. So the algebra, the math here is not going to get crazy throughout the course if you are comfortable with this level of algebra that we're going to cover right now. So the first thing that I want to cover here is the order of operations. Okay, so when we do algebra here, you guys can all, add, subtract, take the square root of something, do this in terms of just plugging it in the calculator. All of that stuff is easy. The thing here is we need to be able to know what order to do these things in so that when we need to solve for a variable, we can do it in the correct order, right? So we have order of operations here. What I want to do for this first example is solve x. So here I have a formula here, and I just want to solve x. Let's say that a is equal to 2, b is equal to 4, c is equal to 8, d is equal to 6, right? So I have these four variables here, and I want to solve for what x is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to follow order of operations. So I'm going to go through these kind of quickly for you. The first one here is parentheses. So any parentheses I have in my formula, I want to solve that first. So in this case here, I have one parenthesis. It's just anything inside is considered another little formula. So if I had a parentheses inside a parentheses, anything like that, once I just pull this out, then I have a formula that I can solve by itself, right? So first, what I want to do is solve anything that's in here, which is just c minus d. So this is easy for us, right? So we can just plug this in here. So my first step here, I'm going to put parentheses. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute. I'm going to leave everything else the same except for c minus d. What I want to do is I want to pull this out. So I have c minus d, and I want to figure out what that is. For us, that's 8 minus 6. This is 8 minus 6. And if we put that into our calculators right here, this is 2, right? 8 minus 6 is 2. So now I'm just going to replace this with the 2, leave everything else exactly the same, right? So it might seem like you're going too slow if we just do this one step at a time, but this is a good exercise for us to do. That way we won't run into problems later on with the course and doing, different levels of formulas. It'll always work the same if we do it this way, right? So, okay, so we're doing this now. The next thing, there are kind of no more parentheses in here. So if there's only one number in parentheses, then you can just kind of leave them out. So in this case right here, if I got rid of these parentheses and I just put like a little multiplication here, it looks a little weird because this is far away, but this is the same thing. So this is just b times 2 squared, right? Next thing I'm going to do is any exponents that I have, okay? I want to evaluate these, right? So in this case right here, technically my square root is an exponent, right? But if I consider this an exponent, then everything in here is a parentheses, right? So anyway, this will work out exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is just look inside here, and I have an exponent here on my 2, so I want to do this first, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do next my exponent, and what it's going to be essentially exactly the same thing. So I'll just copy that and paste it here. But now what I'm going to have is I've pulled out this 2 squared, and I want to evaluate that, right? So you can do this in your calculator, or you can do this, if you know it. 2 times 2 here is 4. So what I'll do in my formula here, once I just replace it, I'll have b times 4 here. Okay. Next thing here in our order of operations, I have MD. So if we have this PEMDAS, multiply and divide is next. Anything I want to multiply or divide, okay, has to go next. So multiplication and division is, so you can commute these operations. So it doesn't matter like which one you multiply or divide first, as long as you keep track of what is being multiplied and divided, right? So, for example, I can't do A divided by B multiplied by 4, right? Like in that order. If I plug that into my calculator, that would be 2 divided by 4 times 4. It's not the same thing. So just make sure everything on the bottom of your division here is your dividing, right? So this would actually be A divided by B, A, and then A divided by 4, right? So it's divided by both because this is on the bottom. So we'll do here, one easy thing we can do just to make sure we kind of keep this is anything that's together on the top or on the bottom, go ahead and do that first. So in this case, I have 2 over, this is 4 times 4. Okay, so if I kind of look through this here, I'll do my denominator first since it has 2 things. So I have 4 times 4 here will be 16. And then now I'll just divide. 2 divided by 16 here is going to be 1 over 8. So I can leave this as 1 over 8, and I can put that in my calculator, or you can put that in. I think that's like 0.125, something like that. And now we're ready here. There's nothing left to add or subtract. But we do have one more exponent here to deal with. Actually, sorry, I should put this here on multiply, divide. Multiply, divide. Let me go ahead and copy out or remove all of this stuff right here. Okay. So this one right here took care of our exponent, and then right here we have our multiplication, division, all of that stuff. Okay, so that's good for us. Now what we're going to do is we can just plug this in our calculator. At this point, we can plug this in. So just in case you guys want this written out, this is the square root of 0.125. Okay, and if I have my calculator, I can do this. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my calculator here. You guys hopefully following along, you can do this as well. Square root of 0.125 should give me about 0.354. 0.354. So if you're following along, you're doing this on your calculator, you might get 0.353553339. You might get like a bunch of digits, right? What we really want to do in this course, just as a sort of rule of thumb, is go ahead and round to 3 significant figures, right? So this would be the 3, 5, and the 4. The third digit is the last one that we want to keep. Leave everything else out, right? So this makes your math a lot neater when you do this, okay? But also it really helps out when you guys are rounding things, when you have multiple equations that you're going to use. Like let's say we're going to use this number in another formula, You don't want to be writing this out every single time, and it's really highly likely you might make a mistake or something. So just rounding to 3 significant figures is a really surefire way to kind of keep everything kind of on the right track. Okay, so that's it for this one, guys. On the